When I had my first son, we were struggling hard. We had a landlord who didn't want to work with us and ended up in the family shelter. We finally got out onto our own again, and that's when we realized he had problems. That's when we found out about early Head Start, was through the family shelter, the second time that we ended up there.
Since I was a little girl, I've always said that I wanted to be a foster parent, and I grew up with cousins. My aunt was a foster parent. I thought, where would that kid be if that parent hadn't stepped up and said, I'll do this.
I have a daughter. She's the eldest of 5. She was displaying some behavioral problems. She came home from school and chasing her younger brother, who's 3 years younger than her, around the house with knives, screaming and yelling. And usually a kid will wear themselves out. Not Kayla.
I mean, from the beginning, my life's kind of been like a roller coaster. It was kind of a struggle, like where I was going. My grandmother kind of took custody of me, and then I went into a group home. And went into the group home, got into a little trouble, and I went to Long Creek for a couple years.
I was diagnosed at an early age with depression and bipolar. Had a pretty hard childhood. My parents used to tell me that they were walking on eggshells with me, and it got to the point where I was sent away at age 16 to a boarding school out west. And eventually it got so bad that I tried to take my own life.
I was exposed to a lot of things at a young age, and drugs were one of them. By the time I turned, got into high school, I started drinking pretty heavily, which was really the beginning of my story. But around 17, 18, I started to use heroin on a regular basis, and I became an addict. My life was pretty crazy. A few years into that, I ended up committing an armed robbery to support my drug habit. I ended up going to prison in the Maine State Correctional Facility for 5 years. I got a 10-year sentence. I had to serve 5 of that.
What I knew about South Portland was the mall and Broadway Gardens. That's about it. And on the way to the hospital, because I was a caretaker for my dad for 8.5 years. Not knowing anyone, and in not too good of a way, because after taking care of my dad for so long, his passing was an understatement if I say traumatic.
I was in jail this one time. I was doing 3 months for something, I'm not sure what. And then I heard about Morrison Place. I had 7 OUIs, criminal trespass. I had many things. And I can't remember what I was in there for then, but it really didn't matter. What did matter is that I get out of there and get back into the real world and start living.
These are seniors. Most of them are about 20 years older than I am. I'm 68. Most of them have trouble getting around in the community, either because they no longer drive, or they're isolated, living alone, or they're dependent upon family members, but the family members can't always take them during the work weeks, during the workday.
Head Start and Early Head Start was there and supported us 100%. Anytime I had any problems, staff was there to help me. It was an amazing support system.
Most children end up in foster care because of abuse or neglect in the biological family. When a child comes into care, the goal, DHS's goal, is to reunify that child with their biological family as it should be. It's a safe place for kids to be, to get their needs met while their families work to try to make a safe environment for them to go back into.
And it's yelling, it's screaming, it's name calling, it's she gets physical. Usually with me, I'm usually the one she goes for, but it affects everybody in the house. Jill Irish, who is Kayla's case manager, is she's been a part of my family for so long. She is one of the people that Kayla does trust.
In the beginning, you know, it was like, who can I trust? I don't know who I can trust. I don't know, you know, anything like that. And so I began to feel that feeling of trust with the people surrounding me here.
Mainstay has been a blessing. They're able to draw me out, you know, out of that little hole I dug myself into. The program here is revolves around like mind, body, and spirit, which is one of Kendra's huge mantras, I guess.
For the first time in my life, I actually felt like I had people that were around me that gave me some sort of semblance of what recovery is. And you know, the people who ran that house are still today some of my biggest heroes, I guess. They pushed me into recovery, and they really knew what they were talking about. A few months into it, I decided that I really wanted to give back. I wanted to try to help people who are facing the same sort of circumstances I had faced.
One day I went there just out of the blue, and there were two ladies there, Mary and Amy, and I said, just sat down, and I said, hello, do you have any volunteer work that I could do? And they're like, yes, yes. I said, well, I have an injury that's now turned into a disability. I said, well, I really can't do much, but I'll do anything I can. And they said, yes, our breakfast program for the children before they go to the Boys and Girls Club is starting in 3 days. Well, I have goosebumps right now talking about it, really, and get teary-eyed. I left there, said, okay, I'll meet you there at 8 o'clock. And they said, Brick Hill or Lydia Lane. I had no idea where that was, and it was only 2 streets away from where I'm living. And I found myself a few minutes later down near the airport at the parking area, literally crying and thanking my deceased parents for giving me a light or a sign or a way.
I got out. I got a apartment, and I got a job working for OA, Opportunity Alliance. Pat McKenzie contacted me and asked me if I'd be willing to do street outreach. And I said I'd love it. And that's what I'm doing, and I couldn't ask for any better job.
It's giving back to the community. It's providing a needed service. It's providing a service that ordinarily people would have to pay for. And the advantage of this program is that even though we do things like homemakers sometimes, they're not having to pay for this service. So it saves them money. It provides a real need, concrete type of service for them. And it's encouraging both ways.
You have to stay positive. If you're not going to stay positive, you're never going to get out of that barrel. And we're currently out of the barrel, which is an amazing experience. We're finally in a place in life where we're doing amazing. My whole family, you know, we have a steady income. We just recently got Section 8. Literally a month ago, we were put into Section 8, 7-year wait list. So you have to have that positivity. And I think without Opportunity Alliance to support my family, we would have never gotten out of that barrel, ever.
It breaks your heart every single time. And I feel like my heart has been broken for a lot of really stupid reasons in life that I caused. And let it break for those kids, you know what I mean? I am gonna love them as much as I possibly can when they're in my home, and just let them go. And when the time comes, you have to.
You do need the support in the community, to know somebody you can lean on. When I'm out in the community and they see the problems that I'm having, one reason or another, you know, they'll come up to me, oh goodness, how do you do it? How do you get the help? You know, many times, first thing, got to do get case manager. They can get you started where you need to be. And that's really helped me and get to where my family is now. And I can definitely say that I'm definitely proud of where I am and where my family sits right now. So,
my relationship with my grandmother is definitely better than what it used to be. Yeah, she was worried about me a lot. And, you know, she didn't want to put up with that, which is understandable. You know, like, she had already been through a lot with my dad and what he's been through, which was, you know, worse than me. And then putting up with it from her son's son, like, I could only imagine how that must have felt. Like, oh no, he's gonna go down the same road as his father. You know, I want to be somebody that can change that.
My parents, I visit them. They actually moved to Tennessee a couple years ago, and I go down about once or twice a year. You know, we are on talking terms. I've gotten to the point where I can just let go of the past. And I think they're proud enough of me to know that what happened back then was a lesson, and that from now on it's moving forward.
You know, I think just knowing that I'm not really that special. Like, I have a pretty good story, and I think I came from a lot of turmoil into a position of, you know, comfortability and, you know, a life where I can say that, you know, I'm doing what people should be doing. But I'm not that special, and I think that everybody has that ability, you know. And I think once we kind of break that down when we're talking to people and just say, look, dude, if I can do it, I guarantee you can do it. I guarantee you can walk this same path, and I believe that you can.
And I ended up checking in 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 kids. I couldn't believe this. All different types of kids. And it grew day by day by day. More and more children would come, and then they would be happy to see me. Hi, Miss Candy. And I'd say hello, not always knowing their names because there were so many, but I never forgot a face. That experience, can I say, saved my life, because I was able to go there, not every day, but I was able to go there and really have a purpose and find some meaning when meaning was sort of lost after my dad passed away. The opportunities that the Hub offers, Opportunity Alliance offers, is just really immense, and it's a really cool thing.
Opportunity Alliance is a savior. They saved me. And I thought for sure I was beyond saving. But I guess I'm not. I'm here.